Does where you are now match the vision you once had for your life? Are you becoming the person you truly want to be? Is something inside you quietly craving more? If even one of these questions made you pause, hesitate, or feel a little uneasy, then you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Hi, I'm Dr. A doctoral level psychology and business professional and founder of Recreative Vision LLC. Welcome to this free online course and introduction to the Aligned Life System, a proven framework that helped me go from burned out and unfulfilled to a purpose driven life I look forward to waking up to every day, even Mondays. If you've ever felt like you're doing all the things but still feel disconnected, drained, or like something's missing, you are not alone. I've been there too, and I created this course to help you break that cycle. By the end of this mini course, you'll walk away with a clearer understanding of what actually matters to you, a deeper awareness of what's been keeping you stuck, and real actionable steps to begin shifting out of burnout and into alignment through a framework that actually creates lasting change, even if nothing else has. But before we talk strategy, structure, or goals, let's slow down and check in with you because alignment starts with awareness. And that begins with your first exercise. We're going to start with a quick but powerful activity, one that helped change my life. And before you click away, let me ask you if just a few honest minutes could shift everything, if they could bring you one major step closer to the life you actually want and the person you're truly meant to be, wouldn't it be worth it? If your answer is yes, here's what you're going to do. Grab two sheets of paper and draw a large circle on each. These will represent your entire life. And if you want the full workbook for this course, you can go to the link in the description and I'll send it right over to you. You'll also be the first to know when the full Aligned Life program opens. Now, once you have your materials, I want you to look at the 12 key areas of life on the right: spiritual, mental, and emotional health, physical health, personal development, fun/hobbies and recreation, family, friendships, social life, romantic relationships, environment/home life, career, finances, and community contribution and volunteering. And if you're unsure what each means, check the course workbook where I've defined everything for you. Next, think about how much time and energy you currently give to each area and estimate the percentage for each, with the total equaling 100%. Then, on your first sheet of paper, fill out your pie chart accordingly, making sure to label each area. By the end of this exercise, it should look something like this, and feel free to pause the video if you need more time. After you finish your pie chart, and take your time with it because this exercise will carry through the rest of the course, but you're going to close your eyes and imagine this. Imagine you wake up tomorrow in your dream life. There are no limits, you have no fears, no worries, no stress about money, bills, people's opinions, or anything else. Just pure freedom to live fully the way that you want. How would your life look then? What would you be doing? Once you have this image, use the second circle to draw your ideal pie chart. In other words, how you divide your time and energy in that reality. Now compare your two charts. One shows where you are, and the other shows where you want to be. What stands out to you? What do you feel when you look at these two charts side by side? When I first did this exercise, it was a huge wake up call. Seeing my life laid out visually made me realize how wide the gap was between the life I was living and the one that was meant for me. You see, for years I had a perfect plan. By 25, I thought I'd be done with school, have a high paying career, be settling down, but still traveling, thriving, and living a fun, active, healthy lifestyle. And I gave everything to that plan. Years of my life, tens of thousands of dollars, relentless work, sacrifice, and energy. But at the end of all of that, no boxes were checked. Anything that seemed close slipped through my fingers. I was broke, trapped in a work sleep repeat cycle, burned out, unfulfilled, and terribly disappointed. It felt like everyone else was moving forward and I was frozen in place. Then one morning, I hit a breaking point. Driving to work, tears welled up in my eyes. I wanted to turn the car around and never go back, but I didn't. I kept going. I kept pushing through. The thing is, I couldn't even figure out where the tears were coming from. Sure, not everything in my life had worked out the way I planned, but I had a good family, great friends, and a decent job. So I kept telling myself to just be grateful. But no matter how many times I said it, something still felt off. Something was clearly missing. So that night, I Googled something like unhappy in my job and don't know why. And I came across a blog post that said something along the lines of your job does not align with you. That's when it hit me. I was burned out, not just tired or overworked, but completely drained. And it wasn't just my job, it was almost every part of my life that was out of alignment, just like the pie chart I'd drawn. If I had stayed on that path, I'd still be exhausted and disconnected. My health and joy would have surely declined. I would have grown resentful of a life I'd settled on, and I would have been left with regret, constantly wondering, what if? Then came my second realization. I didn't need to figure out the entire plan. There was already a vision, a divine one mapped out for me long before I ever tried to make one myself. So I made a decision to lean more into my faith, to pray, to act with intention, to get to know me, to face my fears head on, and so on. And slowly but surely, I began to see myself and life become recreated to align with the vision it was always meant to follow. Hence, recreated vision. Today, I run multiple businesses full time that are truly aligned to who I am and what I've been called to do. I've gotten to travel, even went on a 3 month vacation out of state and abroad. I'm grounded in my faith. I have joy and peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. I feel more fulfilled, confident, and connected to my purpose. And I manage my time, finances, and energy so well that people constantly ask me for my secret and how they can create the same kind of freedom. This, this is life aligned. And the crazy thing is, one, that's not all of it. And two, I feel like I'm just getting started. Now it's your turn. Stick with me for the next 20 minutes or so, and I'll walk you through the exact process that helped me go from stuck to vision fulfilled and in alignment. Because there is so much more for you in life. I know it, you just need the roadmap. And that's what the Aligned Life System is here to give you. In this course, you'll learn how to create a life that feels aligned, intentional, and true to who you are by one, mastering awareness, two, building discipline, and three, taking bold, aligned action. So, who is this course for? If you're feeling or have ever felt burned out, unfulfilled, or stuck, or you're simply just someone looking for change that actually lasts, then this is for you. And what this course is not. It's not a quick fix. This isn't about overnight change or surface level hacks. It's not done for you. You'll be guided, but you ultimately have to do the work. And last, this is not therapy or counseling. While it can complement therapy, it is by no means a substitute. After years of research, I realized there were serious gaps in many personal development programs, gaps that left people stuck in the same patterns without lasting change. My aligned life system addresses those gaps head on, making it far more than just another course. And here's how. One, the system is rooted in faith and purpose. There's already a divine vision for your life. You just have to align with it. Second, it uses a holistic inside out approach. Unlike other programs that only cover one or a few, we cover all areas of your life, starting with the core of who you are, which is key in creating lasting change. Three, it's a proven framework. The Align Life system combines evidence based psychology principles, spirituality, business strategy, and practical tools, which have created real lasting change, not only for myself, but for others that I've helped. And last, this framework meets you exactly where you are, meaning it's 100% customizable. Now, let's start with one of the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to change. Like most people, you've probably jumped straight into setting goals, trying to build new habits or solve surface level problems, but may have never taken the time to really figure out who you are, what you're uniquely created to do, or the vision for your life. In other words, like most, you skip the most important step, the one that real change can't happen without. I'm talking about self awareness. And I don't just say this. Studies show that only about 15% of people are actually self aware. That means most of us are moving through life making choices that aren't fully aligned with who we are at our core. And when you don't have that clarity, here's what happens. You hit goals, but still feel empty because you're chasing everyone else's version of success and happiness. You burn out, people please, and self sabotage. You waste time and energy treating symptoms, not the root cause, and end up stuck in the same old cycles. You stay in relationships, careers, or routines that aren't for you, and life just feels off, like you're just going through the motions. The truth is, without self awareness, everything you build, your career, goals, relationships, will lack stability. It might look good on the surface, but deep down, something will always be off. When life gets tough, and it will, self awareness gives you a solid foundation to fall back on. It's what supports you when everything else crumbles. And self-awareness isn't just about knowing your values, identity, and purpose. It's also understanding the beliefs, emotions, and behaviors that influence your choices, especially the ones holding you back. For example, limiting beliefs and internal roadblocks keep you from fully embracing your potential. But once you identify and clear them, that's when real change happens. So, what happens when you stop making this mistake? When you look inward and get clear on who you are, what you value, what drives you, what's been shaping your decisions, you start to make choices that feel right. Your life starts to align. And the benefits of self awareness, according to research, people who are more self aware experience better emotional regulation, smarter decision making, higher confidence, more resilience, stronger relationships, less stress, better leadership skills, and greater overall life satisfaction. So now you might be wondering, okay, but what does that actually look like in real life? How does self awareness actually help someone go from stuck and burned out to grounded, fulfilled, and at peace? Well, let's look at a couple of examples, starting with someone you probably know, Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama followed the traditional path, Ivy League schools, a top law, a top law firm, and all the external markers of success, but felt unfulfilled. Journaling revealed deeper questions about who she wanted to be and how she truly wanted to contribute. Her turning point came when she chose nonprofit work that aligned with her values, calling it the best job she ever had. So, in Michelle's case, the tension was between career, prestige, and purpose. She shifted from believing she couldn't afford to change her path because of financial obligations like student loans to realizing she couldn't afford not to. And once she realigned her life around her values of community, happiness, and purpose, the right path became clear. Now let's meet Bree. Bree was always dating someone. Deep down, she feared being alone meant something was wrong with her. So she settled, ignoring red flags, shrinking parts of herself to fit in, and called it compromise. After journaling and getting alignment coaching, she realized she deeply valued authenticity, peace, and growth. Her dating patterns were completely misaligned with that. So she decided to make a shift by taking a break from dating to focus on her own healing and faith, writing out her non negotiables and actually sticking to them, and practicing self validation instead of chasing it through attention. Bree moved from chasing love out of fear, believing that being single meant failure and love had to be earned, to a healthier space where her mental and spiritual well being guided her, grounded in the truth that real love accepts her as she is, and settling is no longer an option. Now, let's bring it back to you. You've just seen how Michelle and Bree both faced a moment of truth, a gap between the life they were living and the life that aligned. Each woman paused, reflected, and began realigning with what truly mattered. Now it's your turn. Remember the pie chart you filled out at the beginning of this course? Look closely at the area or areas with the biggest gap between importance and what you invest your time and energy into. Ask yourself, what does this gap reveal about what you truly value? The areas of life you wish you spent more time and energy on. And second, what limiting beliefs, fears, or emotional habits might be keeping you stuck in misalignment? And be honest, because this is where the shift begins. Then pause, reflect, and reframe the limiting belief. Ask yourself, what else could be true? Or, if this belief wasn't holding me back, what might be possible instead? Imagine, even just for a moment, what it might feel like to take one small step toward the life your heart is asking for, to follow alignment over obligation, to choose peace over performance, to trust your inner spirit over outside pressure. And when you get clear on what matters most, you stop living on autopilot and start living in alignment. Now for mistake number 2. Discipline is essential to living an aligned life, but the mistake many people make is misunderstanding what discipline really is. They think it means doing more, hustling harder, or waiting for motivation. In reality, true discipline is about taking consistent, intentional action that aligns with you. So it's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters. It's not exclusive to disciplined people. It's for anyone willing to make and stick to a decision. It's not rigid routines, it's intentional action. And it's not about restriction, it's about creating freedom. Essentially, self discipline is honoring your values by managing your time, money, and energy with intention, not perfection. It's how you build a life that fits you, not one that just keeps you busy. When you're misaligned, you stay busy but stuck. You procrastinate or burn out. You know what to do but can't stay consistent. And or you lose track of where your time, energy, and money go. If you said things like, I'm always busy, there's never enough time in the day, I'm just not good with money, where did all my money go? I need caffeine, I'm too tired. You might be mismanaging your most valuable resources. But when you realign, you protect, not drain your time, energy, and money. You set boundaries with confidence. You live on purpose, not on autopilot. And you build a life aligned with what truly matters to you instead of getting pulled in directions that don't. Now let's meet Maya and Renee. Maya and Renee are both 32. They work full time in marketing, earn about 70K a year, live alone, and dream of launching their own consulting brands. They both say they're too busy and too tired to make progress, but a year later, their lives look very different. And here's why. Maya tries to push through. Her days are packed with work, errands, and obligations, but she rarely stops to ask what actually matters. When she's drained, she scrolls or shops to cope. She tells herself she'll get serious when life slows down, but life doesn't slow down. Her energy stays scattered, her money disappears, and her weekends blur by with no rest or progress. A year later, she's still stuck, just more exhausted and discouraged. Her pattern, no clear boundaries or routines, spends reactively, dreams of more but doesn't protect time to build it, and believes she just needs more motivation. Renee, too, felt overwhelmed, but instead of grinding harder, she got curious. She used a pie chart and journaling exercises to notice what was draining her and what lit her up. She began blocking 90 minutes twice a week to work on her dream, no matter how imperfect it felt. She paused impulse spending, started a simple budget, and tracked her energy patterns. 3 months later, she had a starter website, a few clients, and weekends that actually felt restful. She still had a full plate, but now her time, energy, and money aligned with her. Her pattern, she created structure rooted in her values, set boundaries, and protected her energy, made consistent and perfect progress, and understood motivation doesn't get you there. Alignment and consistency do. As we see in these case studies, Maya and Renee had the same goals but made different choices. Maya lacked boundaries, spent reactively, waited for motivation, and stayed stuck in delay. Whereas Renee set clear boundaries, spent with intention, built consistent structure, and made imperfect progress. The difference? Not perfection, but alignment, because self discipline isn't about doing everything right. It's about honoring your values by managing your time, money, and energy with intention. Now it's your turn to do the same. In the awareness stage, you defined your values and visualized a more fulfilling life. Let's move from insight to intention by looking closer at how you spend your time and energy. Using the blank block schedule template in the workbook linked below, sketch a rough outline of your typical day from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. For each block, ask, is this moving me toward the life I want or away from it? And mark each block with a check mark for aligned and an X mark for not aligned. Here's an example of how your block schedule may look. Now think back to your values and vision. What habits or routines actually support the life you want? Don't limit yourself. List anything that comes to mind. And if a limiting belief pops up, like I don't have time or that's not realistic, pause and challenge it. Remember what else could be true. Or if this belief wasn't holding you back, what might be possible instead? Something else you might try, and something I personally like to do, is switch I can't with how can I. Next, you don't need a full life overhaul. You just need to start with one small shift. So choose one block or activity that feels misaligned and reduce or remove the time or energy it takes. Then choose one aligned action or something that supports the life you want. And if it's already on your schedule, increase it. If not, add it even in a small way. Think about it this way: every aligned action is 1 point towards the vision for your life, and every misaligned action or block takes away 1 point. So the goal is to start moving closer and closer to the life for you. And here's a visual of how you can begin to realign your days. As you can see here, even with a job and other obligations, you can build a life that feels more aligned. Trust that the smallest intentional and consistent actions can dramatically shift your life. For example, you can take 5 minutes to pray or reflect, journal for 5 minutes, review your spending, or call someone just to connect. Remember, discipline isn't about perfection, it's about intention. Choose one meaningful change and redraw your daily schedule with that shift. That's your next step, intentionally shaping your day around what matters most. Let's take a moment to reflect on your journey so far, because the reality is what you've already done is what most people never do, and that is slow down and look inward. In the awareness stage, you got clear on your values and vision. In the discipline stage, you began organizing your time and energy around these things. You created structure, identified misalignments, and took a powerful step toward intentional living. Now comes the part that really drives everything home: action. But here's the truth: this is where most people stop, not because they don't care or want it badly enough, but because action triggers fear, doubt, and overwhelm. It brings up old stories and limiting beliefs that quietly whisper, "You're not ready. You failed before. What if it doesn't work?" So let's pause here and rewrite the most common myths around action and replace them with truth. Because if you don't challenge these limiting beliefs, they'll rob you of your peace, purpose, and progress. You might say, "What if I fail?" Well, what if you succeed? "I'm not ready." Ready is a myth. You become ready by doing, not by waiting. "I'm afraid." What if I told you on the other side of fear is the life you've been waiting for? This is too hard. This isn't hard. It's just unfamiliar. This is about being yourself, and being who you are isn't complicated. The world just convinced you it was. I've already tried this before, but you've never tried it as this version of you. Nothing ever sticks. You just need an approach that's built for how you work. I'm tired of starting over. You're never starting over. You're only starting from experience. And I don't have enough time, money, or energy. If you have 5 minutes, $5, or just 5% of your energy, you have more than enough to begin. These thoughts and fears are normal, but they don't have to stop you. Real progress happens when you take aligned action despite your perceived limitations, whether that's limited time, energy, or belief. What you're about to hear are real stories, one you may recognize and one of my own, that prove how one aligned action can change everything. We'll start with Tabitha Brown. Tabitha spent years pursuing a traditional acting career, facing constant rejection, chronic pain, depression, and anxiety. But everything shifted when she decided to take a 30-day vegan challenge to support her health and began sharing joyful, unscripted videos of what she was eating. One heartfelt sandwich review went viral, not because it was polished, but because it was real. In showing up as her full, authentic self, Tabitha didn't just find an audience, she finally found her place on the screen. That aligned moment unlocked everything from best selling books and Emmy winning shows to business ventures and a platform that feeds millions with joy, faith, and purpose. Like Tabitha, I also took aligned action. Years ago, someone needed help with a rebrand, and I volunteered not because I had experience, but because it connected to the vision for my life and my values: creativity, strategy, change, and helping people. Awareness. I could have thought, "I'm not qualified," limiting belief, but instead I trusted that God qualifies the unqualified. That one yes uncovered a skill set I didn't even know I had. I kept showing up, spending a few hours a week developing these new skills, discipline, and eventually, with no money and zero business experience, I took action and started my first business because it aligned with the life I knew was for me. Action. And here's what our stories prove: you don't need a perfect plan, you need alignment. because awareness without action keeps you stuck in your head. Discipline without direction keeps you busy yet unfulfilled. However, when you combine clarity, structure, and intentional steps, that creates alignment. And alignment is where real, lasting change takes place. Your final assignment. In the previous lesson, you chose one small shift to move your life into better alignment. Now it's time to take action and practice it daily, weekly, or at whatever rhythm makes sense for you in your life. So here's what you're going to do. Choose the aligned habit you committed to in the last activity, and using the habit tracker in the workbook, track your progress for the next 7 days. If you want an extra boost, decide on a reward for committing to your aligned habit and or find an accountability partner to support you in your journey. My final message to you. You can keep waiting for the perfect time. You can keep collecting information, making vision boards, and calling it getting ready. But deep down, you know what it really is. It's fear, perfectionism, overthinking, and it's costing you. Because every time you delay that first step, you delay meeting the version of you that's been waiting, the person you were always meant to be, the one the world needs to see. Let today be the day you stop shrinking, stop apologizing, and stop settling so you can finally begin to become her. And that path starts right where you are, not later, not when it's perfect, not once everything lines up, now, with whatever you have. So, what does beginning look like? Maybe it's deepening your faith, setting one small boundary, having one honest conversation, saying one brave yes. Whatever it is, it starts with that first step. And let's be clear, you are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too late. Nothing, and I do mean nothing, you've been through has been wasted. Not the detours, not the heartbreaks, not the lessons, mistakes, or silent seasons. All of it was preparation. You've spent months, maybe years, waiting for your dreams. But what if they've been waiting for you? In conclusion, you create an aligned, purpose driven, and fulfilling life by anchoring into who you really are through self awareness, building trust through self discipline, and creating lasting change through aligned action. You don't have to do it all today. Just take one step, make one aligned decision. What you've experienced in the course is just the beginning, a glimpse into a more in depth process that rewires how you live, lead, and love. My full program goes deeper with powerful tools, frameworks, and support designed for the whole you. Inside, you'll uncover powerful breakthroughs like how to clarify your life's purpose and start living in it right where you are. Build a custom financial plan no matter your income or goals. Break free from procrastination and perfectionism, and so much more. And before you go, if there were no limits, what would your life look like? And what do you feel is standing in the way of that right now? Drop your comment below so you can reflect, be seen, and even inspire someone else on a similar journey. Wishing you peace, love, and all the above.